Any good stories from the road?
Pipe up.
I wish we'd gotten to see a little bit more out of our punter.
I'm starting to puke.
It makes my stomach hurt.
I thought he was going to die.
I'm starting to throw up in my mouth a little bit.
He's on the probiotics.
Is Georgia playing the 1985 Bears this weekend or what?
A lot of Todd talk.
Rat poison proof.
They're mongoose.
We will not be hunted at the University of Georgia. I can promise you that. The hunting that we do will be done from us going the other direction.
Welcome. How's everybody doing? I'm Wes Blankenship, Palmer Toms, and Jake Rowe joining me tonight. And Jake Roos will be swooping in his closer role that we've
what he does.
Grown so accustomed
Bringing the
to
heat.
seeing. Yeah, I mean, he just comes in right when he needs to.
He's got a
Mountain
closer's
Jake.
haircut. He's got a closer's haircut.
He sure as hell does. What would, other than Mountain Jake, what do you think Jake Roos's nickname would be if he was a closer?
The Rooster.
Yeah.
Here comes the rooster.
There you go.
Well, it's a big recruiting week. I'm not going to beat around the bush there, and we can get into that a little bit. Jake and Palmer, I know you've heard a ton of what Rusty and Jake Roos have to say about the scavenger hunt coming up. Georgia picks up a huge commitment in Dylan Raiola. And just like I was speaking about Brock Vandegrift a couple shows ago, we've learned a lot about Ryan Puglisi since Dylan Raiola committed as well. So we'll get into all that. But I want to lead off the show with something that you wrote about today, Jake Rowe. Broderick Jones is Pittsburgh Stiller. And every opportunity these guys get, they continue to say remarkable things about Kirby Smart's staff, and they don't even have to.
I tell you what, man. I framed the story. I mean, it's a free story. Come over and read it over at DawgsHQ because it was some comments he made to the Goat Factory, which is a thing on TikTok. I honestly don't know if he made them directly to them, but they're the ones that posted the quotes or posted the video. And I framed it as, listen, over the course of 3 years at Georgia, he was probably asked to host some guys and to help Georgia recruit. I don't know if anything he could have done in that time would have been more valuable than what he said, which was basically the same thing Kirby said pregame, every game, seeming like. They don't do it like nobody does it like Georgia does it. That nobody prepares you as well as Georgia prepares you. Nobody's on top of you and making sure that you're doing exactly what you need to do from a detail standpoint, from a physicality standpoint. Hey, that's how Georgia ends up landing Dylan Raiola. That's how Georgia. You keep hearing these people. Well, this next 5-star quarterback better pan out, or it's going to kill quarterback recruiting. Just to kind of make this thing come full circle. There's a reason they keep getting 5-star quarterbacks, and it's because of the culture and the detail and the preparedness. And I don't think Broderick Jones could have done a better service to the team that he started 19 games for than basically coming out and saying nobody, not anybody close, and I've got friends that play at other colleges, prepares you like Georgia does.
Well, and for me, it reminded me a lot of what Nolan had to say right after the combine workout when he was, given his sales pitch for coming to Athens and coming to Georgia. And, I think it speaks volumes when those guys that have been through the program reap the rewards. They speak volumes about it. That they are incredibly proud to be Georgia Bulldogs, and they understand that, it doesn't make them better because they are members of the Georgia football program, but hopefully they are better for being a part of the Georgia football program.
I put on our message board that I don't think any Georgia player had. Well, I'll rephrase it. I don't think Broderick Jones could have had a much better Georgia career than what he had, with the moments that he was called upon and how he delivered and how he closed his career out as a first-round draft pick.
Well, and it's impressive because if you look at his career, he's not a guy that stepped in and started, hell, for his first 2 seasons, he wasn't the primary starter. He played some games as a sophomore, started a couple in there as well because Jamari Salyer got hurt. And stepped in at the biggest time of that season when Georgia needed him the most and proved that he could be a guy that there was no drop off from one NFL left tackle to another. And so, it's cool to see. It's cool to see a guy that waited his turn, did things the right way. Seeing that pay off. And for Broderick, I mean, it happened in 3 years. It takes some guys 4, 5, 6, in the post-COVID world. But, so I guess he didn't really have to wait that long. He was a 5-star coming out of high school, but he handled things the right way his entire way through. And, to see it pay off is really, really cool.
So I searched for Broderick Jones on Getty Images, and this apparently is him. What do y'all think about this? What is this? This is like he looks like the Mummy.
They're for those that are big fans of the daytime soap operas, way back in the day, Days of Our Lives had a situation where the dude had wrapped his head in some kind of gauze like that, and nobody knew who it was. I remember my mom and her stories is what she called him. Her and my grandmother, they taped him on a VHS, and that's what it reminds me of. I don't know. It was either John Black or Roman or somebody like that on that show. But every time I see that thing, I think about getting your head wrapped in gauze.
Have you seen this picture before?
Yeah. Jalen Carter wore it a little bit too, didn't he?
Yep.
Maybe last year.
Jalen wore it at some points during the year. Broderick, I think, picked it up closer towards the end, and I want to say George Pickens has worn something very similar to that.
He did. He wore it when he got drafted, right? When he was staring at the screen, a fellow Steeler. Maybe it's a Steelers thing.
That photo is one of the most goofy, funny things I think I've ever seen in my life. Like I didn't even know where it had come from because I didn't watch the draft last year.
You didn't think it was real when I first sent it to you.
Yeah, I was like, what? Like, I didn't have any idea. One thing about Broderick Jones, though, man, you see the backup quarterback get to come in and win a game for his team. I mean, that's as close as an offensive lineman will ever get a chance to get is what he did in that national championship game.
Oh, it was incredible.
I'm not saying he came in and played perfect or even played him phenomenally well.
No, but Georgia needed him to come in and do what he did, essentially.
Right, and he came in and threw some key blocks in some key moments. I mean, sealed off Will Anderson on the edge on a run from Zamir White to kind of help Georgia, get the run game going. It's pretty crazy, and kudos to him and kudos to Stacey Searles for the advances he made from 2021 to be like, all right, well, kind of a really good pass protector, kind of a finesse player, to a year later, you got NFL scouts saying this guy's a bully. This guy is an absolute bully.
Yeah.
And now he gets to go do it in the in the Steel City down by the Allegheny River, I believe.
And it's crazy to think what more is out there for him, because he is that third-year player. He is relatively young, if I'm not mistaken. And I mean, the comment that stands out to me about Broderick through that pre-draft process is Mel Kiper said he's an offensive line coach's dream. He's athletic. He's still capable of being molded into. He probably wasn't the most polished product of those guys. That's why you saw a Darnell Wright go above him. That's why you saw Paris Johnson Jr. go in the top.
Well, that
10.
guy's just a mountain of a human.
Absolutely. But to have everything there and be as good as he is now and still have so much left to accomplish, at least that's the narrative out there. And so much ground to improve upon. That says a lot about Broderick and what Georgia did with him during his time and what the future could look like for him.
So I got a clip that just landed on the internet tonight, and it is from our buddies over at The Next Round. They're over in the state to the left of us. If you listen to WJOX, you're familiar with Ryan Brown and Jim Dunaway and those guys. But Ryan just shared a video with me with Kirby Smart talking about another NFL draft pick, Stetson Bennett. And if you haven't seen the clip of Stetson unloading in a Rams workout. We're about to pull that up too. I don't think the Rams will mind us promoting their Twitter account, but here's Kirby talking about Stetson.
I'm a huge Rams guy, and I was excited when we took Stetson Bennett. Like, I think he has the ability, and you know this a lot more than we do. The kid just knows how to play football, and I've got a feeling that he's going to be successful in the NFL.
He's talented. He's a great athlete. I think he fits their scheme. I think Sean liked him playing in Monken's system. There's a lot of similarities there. He loves Stafford. He's got a chance to learn under one of the best. I don't think you can find a better fit for him.
Apologies for the black screen there. But yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. Kirby just cutting it up and being pretty casual about it. He's a big Stetson Bennett guy. You heard him say that. I don't want to read too much into it, but everything is read too much into when it concerns Stetson Bennett these days. So figured I'd highlight it. And Stetson landing in the perfect spot for him, learning from Matthew Stafford. I don't think Kirby's off base there.
Hey, man, people say all the time, I hear it every day, Los Angeles, Blackshear, basically the same place. So, good for him. He gets basically.
What do you think is the biggest similarity between Blackshear and Los Angeles?
Maybe
both towns have a McDonald's.
Maybe they have the same number of letters in it in the word. Maybe I haven't counted them. But maybe
I think they do 10.
Okay, yeah. So
there you go.
Jesus, Wes, that was really fast.
Yeah,
I'm looking at it right now.
I got done counting up Blackshear as he said 10, and
I'm running laps around you guys.
Yeah, you are. Hey, dude, you guys would have been proud of me last night at the Camden County Bulldog Club. I did some math in my head. Somebody was talking about how Georgia players get paid. The rumor was that Georgia players, Rick Neuheisel said it actually. Georgia players, all scholarship players get paid $20,000 a month. And while he was talking, I decided to go ahead and start doing the math. And I said, that's $20,400,000. And the folks were like, I nailed it, dude. I was so proud of myself.
I was about to pull up the calculator and check your work.
Yeah. There's I can't remember what the method is, but I had a math teacher in high school who taught me how kind of to do like, multiples of 5, as long as you kind of keep it with zeros and 5s at the end, I can do it pretty quick. Let's not test me. I don't do well under pressure.
Didn't you teach
I was about to give you some facts,
What's
some
that?
figures.
Didn't you teach math?
I did teach math, but I mean, we didn't multiply. We didn't multiply $20,000 times 12 times 85. So a whole lot anyway.
All right, do some math here, Rowe. The population of Blackshear, Georgia, according to Wikipedia, in 2020, they could have had a baby boom since then with Stetson on the on the board. There's no telling. The population is 3,506. The population in LA as of 2020 is 3,898,747. What is 3,898,747 divided by 3,506?
That's like it's a little over 1,000. I'd say probably somewhere around 11 or 1,200.
It is a pretty even number. You're right.
Yeah, a little over 11 or 1,200 maybe.
I love the Georgia show.
We're awesome. I mean, math lessons and everything.
So for one person in Blackshear, there are 1,112 people in LA.
Yeah, that's
and
incredible.
one of them is Stetson Bennett.
Yeah.
Which does he count for?
There.
Oh, he's an LA guy now, man. He's
LA?
about to be. Yeah, he's about to be on movie sets. He's going to be getting that script ready.
I mean, does that affect his drafting to LA affect the Blackshear population? Was his permanent residence still listed in Blackshear?
You think they're fudging the numbers out there?
I mean, they could be.
We're asking.
All right, we'll move on from Blackshear and LA. Roos is going to be very upset that he missed out on this.
Yeah, 100%. This is right up his alley. 100% is right up his alley.
We'll just stay in the dogs and the pros. Karis Jackson making the Titans mini camp. I'm huge on Karis Jackson. It's probably a recency location bias because I covered him in high school, which is crazy to say that, back when I was working in Macon, Karis was just in high school. That shows you how long he's been at Georgia, because it's been a while since I've been down there. But Karis having a shot with the Titans, I think he's got a pretty good shot, guys. The depth is not the best, not to slight Karis, but undrafted guy having a chance to make the roster, make some big plays when it counts for the Nashville Titans. I think Karis could get it done.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely he can. I've said it on the board, and again, no slight to Karis, but Georgia's receiver room is better than the Titans, and so he was able to get on the field. I think so, Jake. I mean, you give me that look like you don't think so?
I don't know, man. It's pro football versus college.
It's the Titans have a really bad receiver room. Worse in the NFL, according to ESPN.
They traded away A.J. Brown for whatever reason.
They did, and they tried to draft his replacement in Traylon Burks, and he's wide receiver 1 for the Titans, so a second-year guy. It's a young group, but it's not all that talented of one. And so, I do think Karis has a really good shot to make this team. He's somebody that contributed on special teams throughout his career at UGA, came up with some big catches. And I know, I know that he wasn't maybe quite as productive his last 2 years as he was, in 2020 when he was one of the team leaders. And, injuries certainly played a part in that. Was coming off of a knee injury, had a scope that summer of 2021 and played through all the pain in the world that year, played in all 15 games. And if I'm not mistaken, played in every game this past season too. And was more.
I don't remember a game that he missed. Yeah.
So, I mean, one thing that you can say about Karis Jackson is that he's tough as nails. He's going to go out there. If he is healthy, in the slightest bit, he's going to be out there. And so the best ability is availability. And
I was about to say Titans, that. Did you come up with that?
I think I read your mind, Wes.
Okay.
He's
you're right though. It is. I mean, when you go to a pro camp any given summer, any given fall, you start to find some guys that weren't the biggest, weren't the baddest dudes in college, but guess what? They're healthy, they can play, and they can still give you some reps and get out there. And I could totally see Karis being that guy, if not for the Titans for several years. He could be an NFL journeyman or just find a role in any given team and be that dude that can give people a look, man. And that goes a long, long way in the NFL.
And again, speaking as somebody that follows the Titans probably closer than anybody else on this show, injuries have been their biggest concern. Injuries have been their biggest problem over the last couple of years. They have been one of the most beat up teams. I think it was that 2020 season or 2021. They played more players in that single season. More players were active for a game than any other team in NFL history. And so injuries, COVID that year. But, lots of things went into that. And, so if he's able to be on the field, that's a huge boost to his stock with the Titans.
I would just love to see him get healthy and stay healthy for a little while because I hope injuries haven't zapped it. But coming out of high school, Karis was legitimately a freak athlete. I mean, a high jumper, a sprinter, state champion in the shot put. Like, he was legitimately a big time freak athlete. And somewhere along the way, you go back to, what was it, 2018? Was it 20? I think it was 2018.
Man, it's wild to even think that he could have been there that long ago.
Right, but
was 2019 his freshman year?
2018
was his freshman year because
that's crazy.
He worked a little at tailback because Georgia had so many injuries, and he got in against Middle Tennessee State. And he had a really good, I believe he had a really good spring. He had gotten off to a good start during preseason camp, got a hamstring injury that lingered into the season. He ended up getting a red shirt that year because he didn't play enough games. I think that was the first year of the 4-year red shirt rule.
Yep, it was.
But and then the next year, he catches a big one against Vandy in 2019, breaks his hand on that play, fumbles at the end of it because he got hit right on the hand and broke it. And then that sets him back. And then, 2020, he gets off to a hellacious start. Everything gets weird at quarterback. And he still ends up leading Georgia in receiving that year by 1 yard over George Pickens. And then it was just kind of injury after injury, maybe stole from him. So, I mean, there's not a better Bulldog out there. This guy right here is in the same in terms of how he feels about Georgia and the way he plays the game. I mean, this is Nolan Smith on offense right here is who this is.
Well, and as we talk about all the injuries of Karis, he missed minicamp this past week with the Titans. He had a little bit of I think it was a wrist tendon. He had surgery on that after the national championship. So, obviously it's an injury that's coming from playing football and playing more football than anybody on that team this past season, at least among the rookies. And so, I think it says a lot about what the Titans think of Karis, that they are signing him without seeing him suit up in the two-tone blue.
That's some Nashville insight right there from Palmer Tom's, a local.
He's killing me with the two-tone blue.
Goodness.
Oh, with the red and black, the maize and blue. Just like it's
like written for the press release.
When I hear two-tone blue, I think about a 1996 F-150. I don't think about the Titans, but I'm glad Palmer does.
Hold on.
Tighten up, baby.
What is that? Oh,
it's that Russian nesting doll.
Yeah.
Russian egg doll.
Yeah. I'm not going to open it because it makes a horrible sound. But we got Steve
okay.
McNair. This is from their Super Bowl team.
Air McNair.
Were you alive then?
I was just born. That was my first football season live. I was not, but a couple months old. My parents
couldn't push the Titans over the edge, could you?
No, and my parents did their damnedest. They put me in. They got a Titans onesie and stuffed me in it every game that entire
Palmer
season.
put so much poop in that thing.
Palmer blew out in that thing like 6 times.
Rusty was talking about Karis's big catch in the Peach Bowl against Ohio State, and I was thinking about that since we wrapped up, like probably 5 times a day. That's how much I love Karis Jackson. But
or you love the Georgia show.
It took me back to Karis in the Peach Bowl against Cincinnati. And he had a big game against the Bearcats too. He just loved the Peach Bowl, I guess.
Yeah, that must be a thing.
Were y'all at that game?
Yeah, absolutely. I was shoeless.
That's right. You got
it was
flooded.
so wet getting in there. I soaked my socks and shoes, and I basically just rolled my jeans up and sat there in the press box like Huckleberry Finn. And
just
it was,
hillbilly Rowe,
dude. Lieutenant Dan taught us to take care of our feet.
That's
right. Always take care of your feet.
That was the only game I worked that year. We've now talked about the Middle Tennessee game in 2018, my first game working, and 2020 Peach Bowl, my only game working that year. So.
Yeah, because you were supposed to work the Vanderbilt game, and we never got a chance to see that one played. I've got that credential around here somewhere.
Yeah, I do too.
From the lost Vanderbilt game of 2020. But Wes, going back to your Karis love, I think it's got a lot to do with those Macon days.
I was going to get to Craig Lawson's question here. Did you ever hit the Crazy Bull with Marvin James and Ben Jones? I can't say that I did. I did go to the Crazy Bull a couple times, and unfortunately, I was there for
There's something about the name Marvin
a lot
James.
longer time than I should have.
There's something about the name Marvin James that just sounds like he's out at a Camel light in somebody's eye at some point. Like, I mean, that's a rough, dangerous man right there, Marvin James.
Marvin James is an outlaw, man. No, he's a veteran of the Macon, Georgia sports beat, baby. He's he's the sports anchor down there. Ben Jones, the meteorologist. If you know Marvin James and Ben Jones and Frank Malloy, then you watch 13 WMAZ.
Not Ben Jones, the Titans center.
Not at all.
No, this isn't all about the Titans, Palmer. All right. Lieutenant Dan did say there's nothing like a good pair of socks. There's nothing like a T-shirt from Breaking Tea. And as you see right here, that dog will hunt 2022 national champions, Georgia football, back-to-back champs.
That Stetson one over there, that Stetson one back-to-back shirt was displayed last night at the Camden County Bulldog Club when I was there.
Were you wearing it?
Saw a spry young man of about 55, 60 years old wearing it with a pair of jeans tucked in nicely. He was sporting it just right and looked good in that shirt. So
hell yeah.
He would have put a whipping on me if I'd have done anything, because he was that dude was put together for an older gentleman.
Was it a braided belt? I have to imagine if the T-shirt is tucked into a pair of jeans, there's a braided belt involved.
I did not see a braided belt, but I will say this, since we're talking about, we're promoting things, I told Wayne down at the Camden County Bulldog Club I'd do this because I didn't ask for it. He gave it to me. Taylor Oaks Apiary honey. Okay. Palmetto honey. I told him I'd give it a shout out on the show. So y'all check it out. Taylor Oaks.
I'm sorry, I'm covering you up. Apiary. Hold on. Lift it up.
This is the tastiest honey I've ever had in my life. Check this out. It's awesome.
Are they paying us for this?
It's good stuff. It is. It's Palmetto honey, which is apparently really close to Tupelo honey. But yeah, my man gave me some of it. It's good stuff. I can't wait to put it on a biscuit. So thus far, I've only had it in my coffee and on a spoon.
Well, I can't wait to try some when they send us a barrel of it. Check out Breaking Tea. That was like a honey within the T-shirt ad.
There we go.
Product placementception. Check out Breaking Tea. Always a link in the show description. All right, until Jake Roos does join us, let's talk about the scavenger hunt. Let's talk about Dylan Raiola. Let's talk about, oh my gosh, dude. Speak of the devil and he shall appear. What's up, Mountain Jake?
Hey, what's going on, boys?
Man, you were talking about Roos as a closer.
Goodness,
I would love to see Jake Roos.
That kind of freaks me out, Roos. Were you listening?
I wasn't. What happened? Were you talking about?
You popped in right when I said your name. It was insane.
Hey, Wes, you were talking about him as a closer earlier. I'd love to see him wear a hat, a Major League Baseball hat that looks exactly like the one he's got on with that haircut.
Can you imagine if an MLB closer bent the brim like that?
Yeah. With that skinny neck and that big old head just coming in from the
the melon.
Dude, Dylan Brooks has just given you a new nickname, the Mountain Devil.
I like that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, man.
All right, so let's talk about the scavenger hunt. I said when we came in tonight, I wanted to devote almost as much time to Ryan Puglisi as we do Dylan Raiola, Roos, because, we were talking about Brock Vandergriff a couple shows ago about the dedication he has to compete and to this position battle. And all I see in the replies to our tweet about Raiola committing are, in your great story, great coverage with Puglisi himself, everyone's saying there's no way this guy won't transfer. Seemed pretty rock solid when you talked to him.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And, listen, we've talked about this a couple of times. The reality is probably Ryan Puglisi or Dylan Raiola will transfer before their career. Those guys are probably not going to stay at Georgia for the duration. That would be shocking in this era of football. But listen, he's saying all the right things. He's coming to compete. And I'll be honest with you, man. I mean, that's something I think that's going to appeal very, very heavily to his head coach, at the next level. I think Kirby's going to love that he's got the dog in him, man. I mean, he's not backing down from anything. Dylan Raiola is an incredible player, number one player in the nation. Ryan Puglisi ain't scared, man. Ryan Puglisi ain't worried about where Dylan Raiola is ranked. Ryan Puglisi's worried about showing up and handling his own business. And I think that that's really the huge takeaway, man. And listen, he's seen it done. It's proof positive in Athens. Stetson Bennett overcame JT Daniels. The 5-star guy didn't win out in that instance. It's the case. It's not always the case that, Brock Vandegrift's a 5-star guy. Carson Beck was a 4-star guy. The higher rated guy, that doesn't mean, that's a sure thing. It'll all settle itself out when they get on campus and on the field.
Sorry, Rowe, I thought you were about to say something.
Yeah, I mean, no, I was about to say something. That I saw that big, red mark on my mute button because I've been yawning and making all sorts of noises. Here's what I like about this situation, and it's I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of a weird thing. I like the way, like when you read his comments, you read a guy that's kind of excited to come in and get to know another kid. You kind of read a guy that's excited to come in and be a teammate. It's not necessarily like, oh, I think I can beat him. I'm sure that's part of it. But I get the sense that you got a guy here. I mean, everything you hear about Dylan Raiola would tell you that he is a good teammate. He's an affable guy. He's, obviously his dad's an offensive lineman. He's been raised right. Offensive linemen are good people. And for the most part, Richie Incognito notwithstanding. But then you look at, then you look at Ryan Puglisi and I think, listen, man, this could be the start of something beautiful here. It could be the start of, like a couple of iron sharpens iron type dudes here. Who knows? Maybe they're both amazing and Georgia just alternates them by play and they run the first 2 quarterback system for 4 years and win 4 national championships. And they finish 1-2 and then 2-1 in the Heisman, for a couple years in a row or something. I mean, I doubt it, but somebody's going to transfer and that quarterback room is going to look weird. And
Rowe, I'll cut you off. That exact scenario is what a lot of Georgia fans expect to happen, though.
They'll be
disappointed if it doesn't play out that way.
Yeah, there probably are a few. I probably a few of them just cut it off right after I got through doing that before I switched gears and just said, all right, he told us it was happening. But no, I mean, I do think it's really cool how, reading Roos's story, which a phenomenal job of just going ahead and getting a hold of him and kind of, that was a very important piece of news on a big day that wasn't really, Raiola, centric, that, he seems like he's really excited about being a teammate. And, that's all you can ask for in some of these players. That's all you can ask for if you're Georgia and you got this piece of connection built, something I talked about on the board today, something I've talked about before. And last night when I was in, I keep bringing it up last night in Camden County was that, Georgia, everybody wants to call them the new Alabama. I think Georgia's built different than Alabama. Similarly, yeah. The whole do your job and one day at a time, one play at a time, all that stuff. But I'm telling you, man, when you get to if you're looking at these things in different compartments and you get to that culture compartment, that inverted pyramid and that number one most important piece, it's not professionalism and do your job. That's the next rung down, and it's still a very important piece. Number one is connection.
Yeah, man, it's human nature, right? Like you expect Kirby to come from Saban, and I think the easy thing to think is, well, he's going to be Alabama East. But that, now that Kirby's earned that benefit of the doubt, he's won a couple championships, I think it's fair to say that's unfair to Kirby to say that he's just going to be the next Nick Saban. Why can't he have learned something from Saban and added to it? And that's exactly what he's done. The Players Lounge conversation with Dominic Lovett and Warren Brinson, there was a moment from that conversation where they had a lot more time than I have when I spoke to Dominic. They chatted for about 30 minutes. Y'all should totally check it out. But Brinson and Lovett, guys that have been there for different amounts of time, both said, I can tell that Kirby Smart cares about us. He cares about the players on this team. And I think that whole model of the culture, the connection, it comes down from the top.
Yeah. And Jake, I think you touched on something that was pretty important, which is that I haven't gotten the sense, and I'm not trying to put words into Ryan Puglisi's mouth here, but I haven't gotten the sense that he's necessarily worried about competing with Dylan Raiola. I don't know that that's very much on his mind, to be honest with you. I think that Ryan Puglisi cares about what Ryan Puglisi can do and trying to do what he can. And hey, I'm going to take care of my business, and I'm not worried about who's there and who's not. It's about what I got to put together to be the most successful player that I can be for the University of Georgia. And when you get the mentality like that, it's really strong, man.
Geez, man. I mean, that's something you could just only ask to get out of a 45-year-old man that's experienced life. And to hear
that's a person that tucks a T-shirt into some braided belt.
Yeah, exactly. But to hear an 18-year-old say something, give off that vibe that, hey, it's about me and it's about how much better I can get. It goes back to that Brock Vandegrift quote. Hey, I would leave if I didn't think I was getting better. Sorry if I stole that from you, Palmer.
You did.
You did.
What goes around comes around.
I saw the way his head just shook there real quick. I was like, oh man, I undercut Palm.
We got a question from Craig Lawson, and maybe Roos, you can shed some light on this. The scavenger hunt, I had to have Rusty explain it to me too. This is a boiled down version of what Mark Richt did when he was here, when he brought a ton of kids onto campus for the same weekend. And this thing has kind of emerged, as a cult favorite, I guess. Like, it was a little event that Kirby's staff put together to simplify these weekends. And now it's really like the event of the summer, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the new dog night, right? I mean, that's probably the closest comparison that we've got in terms of, they're bringing in guys that aren't necessarily committed, but, these are all pretty high-level guys for the most part. And, Craig's asking, does Kirby get involved in the scavenger hunt? Absolutely. There's no question about it. Part of the scavenger hunt. Yeah, I was going to say part of the scavenger hunt always is find Coach Smart. And so you get to go, you got to go take a photo with Coach Smart. And that's like part of it. They they always post those to Twitter. It's great exposure for Kirby. He's posing with the guys,
great content for us.
Absolutely. Sure.
He's got envelopes hanging off of him like a Christmas tree.
Come find him.
Go pick one off of Kirby, see how much is in it.
Yeah, he's got the McDonald's bags. Like the Pruitt.
This is Athens. This isn't Knoxville.
But he's absolutely a huge part of it. Staffers are also involved. I mean, you're going to be basically, my understanding has always been that kind of like you're with your positional coach and you're a team. And so you're with other guys who play your position, and then you kind of run around and do all the things, check them all off. And so, like you said, Wes, it really has turned into a big event. To be honest with you, when I first heard about it, I was like, that's kind of a cheesy idea.
Yeah.
For a Kirby Smart thing, like to me, it seems a little bit goofy, but it's really kind of taken a life of its own and really kind of, like you said, turned into a major, major event for Georgia recruiting.
They've used it to accentuate the features of Athens, the features of the University of Georgia that they really want to be seen. That they want kids
it feels like an orientation type thing, as cheesy as it may feel, if you've got the kind of visit list that Georgia's got, and these kids buy into it, and they whether they buy into the scavenger hunt or not, if they're on campus for it.
That's a huge win.
That says it all.
Yeah, who cares? I mean, my God, let them go wrestle pigs if they're. I mean, just get them on campus, dude. Who cares what they're doing?
Palmer's going to be in the rafters of the Chapel Bell snapping pics for us this weekend. Well, speaking of that visit list, the fact that Dylan Raiola should be there, from everything we know, along with some other incredibly stupid talent, Roos, take us home on the show tonight with the kinds of connections, the networking that could be going on between Dylan Raiola and some of the other talent in the Classic City this weekend.
And do it in song form.
I'm going to do interpretive dance, in fact. So
do like Michael Cera in Superbad.
These eyes. No, so I can't listen. The Raiola piece can't really be underrated in all of this. I mean, everybody's after Kirby Smart, and wants to know how he's going to be involved in this. The staffers will be involved as well. But, Dylan Raiola's presence is going to be huge. And like I said, Wes, we're expecting him to be there as of Wednesday night. And so we'll see if it all comes together. You always got to include caveats for that kind of thing. But we're expecting him to be there. And if he's there as planned, then that's massive, because there's going to be a gravitas around a guy like that. And I keep telling people this about, the NIL era. And it's not necessarily a money thing, but it's an exposure thing. Guys want to be in the sphere with people like Dylan Raiola. They know that their brand is expanded by being adjacent to a guy like that. They are going to be on camera if Dylan Raiola is around. They're going to be, connected to more people than they would ever think to be if Dylan Raiola is around. And so I think that that's such a huge piece to this, man. You get a guy like Jeremiah Smith on campus. And look, we can call it what it is. Georgia has not been recruiting wide receiver at the level that they have linebackers.
Y'all got to stop talking about this guy, because I'm just going to get my hopes up.
I caution everybody not to, because Ohio State is what Ohio State is, and Brian Hartline is the guy. There's no question about it. As whatever you think about Glenn Schumann on linebackers, it is equal when it comes to Brian Hartline at wide receiver. So this is not a guy that gets beat a lot, and this is a guy who's developing NFL talent. The pedigree is there. It's all in place when you're talking about.
Come to Ohio State and sit out of a playoff game if your toe hurts.
Hey, and whatever you do not ride with that man in his side by side. Okay, stay out of the man's side by side.
But like I said, it's huge. I mean, it really is. It's massive. Those connections, and like I said, to me, it's all about the brand now, right? I mean, guys are, branding themselves. I mean, what Julian Humphrey came in with Julio Island. I mean, he made that up in his senior year of high school. I mean, he was already like ahead of the train when it came to branding himself. These guys are smart, they're savvy, and they've got people in their corners who are directing them in that way. And listen, if you want to be on the front of the paper, you want to be on the TV, Dylan Raiola is going to have cameras on him when he gets to Athens, sitting on the bench. So you just want to be sitting on the bench next to Dylan Raiola. I mean, he has that kind of power. That's what comes with the number one, with being the number one player in America, and especially at a position like quarterback.
Whew. I want the camera to catch Wes Blankenship on the bench next to Dylan Raiola before he leaves Georgia.
Why would that happen?
I don't know. Just see you down there on the sideline, sneak over there and just slide in there real quick, let the camera catch you and get out.
I'm going to do I've got a list coming tomorrow. I'm breaking down what I think are the 5 most important visits this weekend. And I'll go ahead and tease one of them tonight because he just dropped his top 5.
That. Jeremiah Smith, it's important.
He's on the list. So I guess we'll tease 2. It's Jade Riddell, though. Jade Riddell just dropped his top 5 tonight.
Just steal something from the Vols.
Number one tight end in America per the rankings. Well, I guess number 2, I think, actually. He may have fallen behind Landon Thomas. But no question, though, that Jade Riddell, a huge piece of this, and a guy who I think is going to be heavily influenced by the Raiola decision. I think that he's a guy, I'm not saying he's on commit watch, but Georgia, this is, and I wrote this earlier in the week when I was previewing some of the official visits. What this opportunity provides Georgia is they get to set the bar. All right. For these official visitors, Georgia is the bar which everything else will be measured against. That's a great position to be in my opinion. I think you want either the first or the last official visit. They're getting a lot of firsts this week. They're getting a lot of really talented guys that aren't even on officials this week. I think that they've got a real chance to set the stage for the summer for some of the best players in the nation. And that's really all you can ask for if you're Kirby Smart and his staff.
Riddell's an unofficial though, right?
It is. Yes. That's what, yeah. Absolutely.
And he just checked. He's the number 1 tight end according to On3, number 2 in the industry ranking.
That's what it is. Yep. Okay.
And when you get them on for unofficials, that means a lot because they're coming on their own dime.
Ain't no doubt. And he's coming back for an official, and it won't be long before he's back on campus. So it's a situation for him where, you follow it up, you get 2 visits super close together like that, and both of them slap. Hey, maybe things change.
Of Georgia's tight ends that they've got on the roster, which one does he compare to most, do you think?
Ooh, that's tough, man. I would say probably just from a build standpoint, he's probably most similar to Bowers in terms of how he's put together.
Yeah, Georgia's going after these guys that are kind of cut from like blocks of granite, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, and he's a pretty thick dude. Go look at
They are listed at the exact same 6'4", 230.
Boom. Look at me. I didn't even know that. And I just
is he a Tennessee commit or
no, he's not. He's not committed anywhere.
I think Tennessee was once maybe considered, the favorite a little bit. Georgia has kind of since supplanted him there for him and Ryan Wingo.
Seems like it's easy to do. Hey, so a couple things. Rowe, you mentioned me sitting on the bench next to Raiola, and Alan Hampton down here, I think is calling me Forrest Gump. So, or that's I mean, I gotta assume he's talking about me. Box of chocolates.
Yeah,
Alan Hampton.
I'm more like
Dad,
like.
Is that you?
I'm more like leaning over to the guy next to me in the infirmary with a bullet in my ass. The bedpan.
Right.
Ice cream.
That's several Lieutenant Dan references on this show alone.
Lieutenant Dan.
I'm Bubba Gump over here, but with curry instead of shrimp.
Rusty Manziel over on our board. If you're not a premium subscriber to DawgsHQ, this is from a thread about Georgia's coaches on the recruiting trail. And one of, if not several, Dogs coaches are all over the country. I mean, they are in any given state right now. They could be anywhere. They could be in your state right now visiting a top prospect. So if you're not signed up to DawgsHQ, it's $1 right now for 6 months. What are you waiting for? You can read more about what the Dogs coaches have going on. Let's chop some wood. It is a Wednesday. Guys, I'm going to chop some wood about Bo Jackson. He can't get rid of his hiccups. I don't know if y'all have heard about this or not, but he's got a condition where he's had hiccups for like the past year. And I know he's an Auburn guy, and this is the Georgia show, but I'm chopping wood. Man, somebody find a cure for this man. This is cruel and unusual punishment, and I'm pulling for Bo. What's y'all's hiccup cure? Do y'all have a tried and true way to get rid of the hiccups when you get them?
I always try to do the hold the breath thing. I gotta tell you though, it's in reading that story, I realized I probably am going to curse myself by saying this. I haven't had hiccups in a long time that I can remember.
Yeah, I just got them.
I'll tell you what, man. When I get them, I can't get rid of them soon enough. I mean, it takes me about 90 seconds of having them before I am furious.
Yeah, imagine having them for a year, man.
Yeah.
I had a friend that had them at one point, and he was like, Palmer, how do I get rid of them? And I just slapped him across the face, and all of a sudden they were gone.
Just assaulted.
And he still had them.
Yeah. So in my family, it was always you scare them, especially babies. Yeah. Babies get hiccups, you scare them. Well, apparently that's very dangerous. Don't do that. The baby.
Yeah, it gives them like PTSD.
Yeah.
They have to go to therapy years later.
I'm assuming Jeffrey Dahmer's parents did that for him. That's what happened, probably.
So if you can hold your breath and swallow like water 7 times before you hiccup again or breathe, that gets rid of them for me. So Bo Jackson, I know you're watching. Give that a shot. All right, who's next?
Oh my God.
20
years.
Jeez. I'm gonna chop wood about a piece that I did today. Tom's take. A little bit of a mailbag, fun thing to do, and at some summer spots in Athens, open to any and all suggestions from the vets over here, anybody in the comment section. But Psycho Dog asked off topic, what are the eating places you visit during the summer when it's less crowded? I said, Marker 7 and Chuck's are on my list to hit since there's less competition to get in there. Clocked has a new menu. Honestly, I'm not a huge seafood guy, but I like both those spots, and they're always super crowded. You can get a great burger just about anywhere. Clock.
Tyler Brennan has the right answer.
Tyler Brennan's not wrong.
But just gonna promo that piece a little bit, and also just mention the fact that open to any and all questions. So for next week and going forward, promoting that Tom's take.
All right, get your suggestions into Palmer Tom's. Tell him where to go.
You want me?
I might go.
You go ahead, Roos.
All right. I'm going to chop wood about the job that these guys have done on the recruiting trail to this point. To go ahead and land Dylan Raiola ahead of the summer and kick the summer off with the fireworks like that, man, you can't really understate it. And I think Georgia is, we've talked a lot about the possibility of a historic class. I think that this is the kind of thing that gives you the momentum to get there. And so, they're scouring the country. Like you said, Wes, they're in every state. They've been all over the place, man. I don't know how those guys do it. I mean, I know the money's good, and I certainly would give it a shot for the cash, but I don't know how long I could last. They're cut from different cloth, man. They're not leaving a lot of stones unturned. And to go ahead and get it going, ahead of the summer like this, I think is huge. That's really the big piece for me. I think Georgia moves into the summer in a power position, and not that they weren't already there in terms of, I mean, they had the number one class already, but to go ahead and to have a guy like Raiola aboard, to have a defender the caliber of Ellis Robinson aboard, you've got two key pieces at key spots, and they're going to be able to lead the way for you there. Ellis Robinson is continuing to take visits, but he told Chad Simmons, hey, look, man, I'm locked in with Georgia. This is just what I do. Somebody on our board said, hey, a free trip to Miami to start the summer doesn't sound like a bad deal. I couldn't agree more. So, Georgia in a really, like I said, power position. I think that's what I'm chopping wood about. Moving into this summer, the dividends it could pay are huge. And I think that if you got your hopes up, I think that you're right to do so.
I'm going to chop wood on something I brought up earlier, which was, I talked about Broderick Jones and the way he's recruiting with his comments and hosting recruits. Well, I know for a fact I've heard a few different players, and I don't want to get it wrong on anybody, so I'm not going to say any specific names. But these guys are away from Athens right now. A lot of these guys are back home. They're doing internships. They're doing they're hanging out with mom. They're going fishing with dad. They're doing fun stuff and seeing people that they don't get to see a whole lot. But also a few of them, I don't know how many, are getting summoned back to Athens to help with this scavenger hunt weekend. They're going to come back. They're going to help host recruits. They're going to be there. They're going to be personalities. They're going to try to sell these kids on the program and kind of help the coaches do their job. I know for a fact that everybody I've heard about thus far has dropped everything they had going on, and they're coming back. Some of them a couple hours, some of them 5-6 hours. Listen, man, it takes a team, as we learned with the Dylan Raiola situation. Sean Chappis, Mike Bobo, and his damn fullbacks, man. He was back at it, and he played a role in that as well. And he's basically, he's not involved in the day-to-day for football. He's just trying to help raise money up there. It takes everybody to do what Georgia has done these past couple of years. Kirby made reference to that when he was talking about Lauren Smith and all the different people that were looped into that book. So ultimately, man, kudos and hats off when you look at these pictures this weekend, and you see, Jeremiah Smith standing there and he's got his arm around, Dominic Lovett or Dylan Bell or whatever. Those guys probably dropped what they were doing, their own time, their own free time, to come back and help the University of Georgia get better for the future from when they're gone. And that's pretty impressive, and that's part of that culture thing.
I'm not going to say that I don't think that Laneith Whitehead is going to be talking smack on Tennessee, but you better believe that Jade Riddell and those guys that are looking at it, he's going to be able to give them an instant comparison as to what's different and why he is where he is now and why he chose to leave where he was. And
I couldn't play here for free, man. Yeah. I'm paying to play here. What you talking about?
Yeah.
One more thing I'm going to chop wood about. I promised you earlier in the show for our video watchers. This is Stetson Bennett, and this video is courtesy of the Los Angeles Rams. Look at the cannon on the mailman. Don't underestimate this guy, man. Don't give him a shot.
That guy catching that pass looks like a young Jake Rowe.
He's yeah, no question.
Like a gazelle.
Yeah. He's going to try to be the Ryan Puglisi to Matt Stafford's Dylan Raiola, yeah. I think. So
exciting stuff. Yeah, y'all check it out if you're listening on the podcast. We've seen some increased numbers. I'm sure our buddy Rusty Menzel has a little something to do with that, but we appreciate any and all new viewers and or listeners to the Georgia Show. We're live every Wednesday and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And don't miss Bark After Dark live every Monday at 9 p.m. Also available in podcast format. For Palmer, Jake, and the Mountain Devil, Jake Roos himself, I'm Wes Blankenship. Y'all have a great weekend. We will catch you back here Sunday after a crazy weekend for Georgia football recruiting. Bless you, Jake Roos. See you.
Thank you.